Well, good morning, everyone, on this beautiful February 10th, a few days before the beloved Valentine's Day. I'm Reverend William Conway, and here with my cohorts, formerly known as the Fabulous Five, but now we've decided to upgrade our name to All for One. I think that's a great name to have because it really puts a point on what we are here and what we're about. Every aspect of life is just an expression of that one thing. So today is going to be, our host is going to be Dale. So before we start our topic and our show today, I'd like to do an invocation and just allow us to settle into this time together to share and to open our hearts. So do whatever it is that allows you to be comfortable. I, for one, like to take in a few deep breaths. So if you'd like to, follow with me. And this is what I know, that all life is nothing less than the one thing happening. Spirit, the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, it just is. It is peace. It is harmony. And yes, it is definitely love. All the attributes of spirit I recognize within myself. I am that which God is. So all the love, all the peace, all the joy that the universe is, it's right here inside me. I know this to be the truth for myself, and I know that to be the truth for all. And in that truth, I claim my truth right here and right now. That life is at peace. Life is unfolding perfectly. Through all manners of expression, the one life is always expressing. Always creating more of itself, more diversity, more love, more peace, more compassion. So this day, as I recognize that love, I express it towards others, outside of myself, but knowing that all life is connected. There is no distance. There is no space. Whether 10 inches away from me or 1,000 miles away or on the other side of the universe, everything is connected. Everything is nothing less than spirit unfolding. So today, during our show, I recognize that love, that peace, that harmony, that openness. I am ready to share. I am ready to allow my heart to be uplifted. I'm ready to allow my heart to share, knowing it raises the bar for everyone. And in that knowing, I have such gratitude. I have such joy. I have such peace. And so in that state of being right here and right now, I release my word as law, knowing it is perfectly done right here and right now. Together we say, and so it is. Well, like I said, Reverend Dale is going to be leading this ship today. And she proposed a question here, and I'd like to read it to you. What does Valentine's Day mean to you? Now, for me personally, that's kind of a hard question to answer because, honestly, every day feels like Valentine's Day. So I guess really, as I think about it, it's the one day that I really focus on love. That's what that day's about. But not just any type of love. A love for my children, a love for my family. It's a love for life itself. It's a love for knowing who and what I am, what I'm made of, where I come from, and what I express. So for that, Valentine's Day means to me is just a conscious recognition of the perfect unfoldment of life. Now with that, I'd like to pass it off to Reverend Cheryl and see what her thoughts are about this day. So go ahead, Reverend Cheryl.
Well, let me think. I was thinking about this and all different things come to mind. I mean, unfortunately, the St. Valentine's Day massacre, but no. But it was kind of Valentine's Day was always a day when you thought that whoever it was you were in a relationship with would show you how much they love you. And I think that was what a lot of people, that was a day to declare your love and to show what you felt and things like that. But really and truly, Valentine's Day should be the culmination of all the love and all the expressing of love that you do throughout the year. So for me now, it's become kind of like New Year's Day for love. So Valentine's Day is when I get to look at all the people that I love in my life, my friends, my family, everyone that, in my past or in my present, just all those people that I have loved. And I just get to celebrate having that feeling for, a fellow spirit. And so it's kind of like New Year's Day for love. So just take it from there, I guess. But anyway, it's kind of a crazy idea, I think, but I'm really excited to think about it that way, because that way I just get to express my love throughout the year. And then this is the one day that reminds me to keep expressing love and just continue on that path. So now I'm going to turn it over to beautiful Reverend Gail.
Thank you, Reverend Cheryl. So when I was in elementary school, my very favorite event of all events was our Valentine's Day celebration. And yes, I really loved decorating a mailbox in which to receive my many Valentines from all of my classmates. But reflecting back, what I loved the most was that on this day, I delivered, and I also received an expression of love and of kindness, of thoughtfulness, a genuine show of friendship and community from each and every classmate, everyone. And I remember how wonderful it felt to open a Valentine and see the name of each child, those that I was close to and those that I was less close with. So whether we played together on the playground or not, each of us genuinely shared our love on that day. So moving forward, today, Valentine's Day means the same to me. It represents for me an amazing day to remember that love is all there is, and all there is love. And I'm just going to leave it at that. So Reverend Dale, or I guess it's Reverend Bradley, how about you?
Thanks, Reverend Gail. I love the memory you pulled up of doing it at school, at elementary school. That was just really fun times to do that. It's not a lot for me, when I've been in for actually a long time, when I've been in an intimate relationship or even when I was married, we usually chose not to go to the packed restaurants or anything along those lines. I remember some fun times at home with my wife and my son, and we would have a fun dinner or do something unique or everything, or a fun breakfast. And this year, knowing that it's coming up, I did purposely, I have a couple of close friends that I've sent some love notes to that will show up the day after Valentine's Day, just to remind them how much I appreciate them and love them and care for them. And that it's going all the time, not just one day. So that's kind of how I'm wrapping it up. But I will admire it for it being an amazing commercial enterprise. Reverend Dale.
Thank you. That's so funny, because I was thinking about my father, because he was always such a buzzkill with holidays like that, like Mother's Day or Father's Day or Valentine's Day. He would say, well, that it's all for Hallmark cars. They're the ones that profit from all this. but for me, I've always really loved Valentine's Day, and I will be honest, I've had my fair share of disappointing Valentine's Day, and there came a point with me where I really didn't want to feel that way on Valentine's Day, and I found within myself the ability to turn the holiday into something absolutely joyful. And it's what many of my comrades said. It's about unconditional love and seeing the love that is within and around us. And I agree with Reverend William. To me, every day is Valentine's Day. And I think one of my, and I'm just going to be very girly right now, one of my favorite things about Valentine's Day is that the stores have really cool tchotchkes that are all heart-shaped. And I always end up picking up like a little heart bowl or a cute little Valentine-y kind of thing that can actually be displayed all year round. So I actually get so excited to see what new things the stores have in stock that will allow me to celebrate Valentine's Day all year long. So I'm with all of you, though. It's all about love. Like Reverend Gail said, it is all about love. And what a delight that we have this one day to really tune into that. So thank you for playing, everybody. I thought since we're so close to Valentine's Day, let's go ahead and see what it means to us, to all of us. So thank you. So my topic today is spiritual freedom, what it is and how to have it. And it's funny how this topic came to come to my mind. I was having a conversation with somebody, and we got to this, I don't know, we were discussing the stifling of our spiritual expression. I don't know the context of it, but that came up. And my friend said she really thought about that. It meant something to her, and she didn't understand what it was linked to, but she'd been pondering it. And so I thought, well, there's something for me to bring into our group. What are we called? One for one, or one for all? Reverend Cheryl and I we were having some Three Musketeers moments yesterday on our show. But anyways, I thought this would be a good topic because it's ripe with possibilities to ponder into ideas of what this could be for us. And just now, when we were preparing for the show, I thought about my experience of spiritual freedom and how I came to that. And when I was, probably in my early 20s, I had this yearning to find myself spiritually. I was raised in a conservative Jewish household, so my spirituality was intertwined with religion. And when I started just not connecting with the Jewish religion anymore, I found that there was still the spiritual need. And so my journey to finding how to fill that spiritual need began. And that's a lot of what I wanted to bring to the table for my beloved ministers to ponder, this idea of spirituality that isn't necessarily intertwined with religion. And right now, and well, actually for a long time, there's been this whole thing, I'm spiritual, not religious. So we're going to have an opportunity to really flesh that out, unpack it, and see what that means for us. And for me, my definition of spiritual freedom is this: the ability to be and express who we are, believe in whatever higher power suits us, and live a life unbound by any dogma, yet living in tune with whatever a spiritual life means to us. And Don Miguel Ruiz says this: the freedom we are looking for is the freedom to be ourselves and to express ourselves. So what is so cool about this whole growing movement about finding ourselves spiritually. I know for anybody that's come into Science of Mind, especially people that are practitioners or ministers, or even if you've just taken a lot of classes, you learn about this thing called New Thought. And New Thought was this new movement that came about in the mid 1800s, late 1800s. And it was started really by, do you all want to bring your wisdom into this? This was on our ministerial exam. I hope I get it right. But it was really started by people who were disappointed and turning away from Christianity because they wanted a deeper relationship. They were feeling something different about spirituality, where God wasn't outside and it was a personal experience. And we have people like Emerson who really discussed this idea of God being close to us and the power of the mind and our ability to have this unique relationship with a part of ourselves that really isn't taught so much in religion. And I just want to have a disclaimer here. What I'm talking about today, or what we're going to discuss, is not separate from religion at all, because I believe that religion can incorporate what we are going to be talking about today. It's just that this movement right now that's breaking through is giving people an opportunity to find themselves spiritually without dogma. So, but they can come together. I don't want anybody to think that the two cannot be one, because they absolutely can. So these transcendentalists who was led by Emerson Emerson and others, they really got into this whole idea about feeling that connection with our spirituality and finding it within ourselves. So this call to finding that is really based on our authentic. And Emerson says in the Oversoul, we live in succession, in division, in parts and particles. Meantime, within man is the soul of the whole, the wise silence, the universal beauty to which every part and particle is equally related to the eternal one. And so when we decide to take this journey to free ourselves spiritually, it's really something that evolves, that's organic, that grows, that gives us an opportunity to dive into who we are and find our authenticity and find our expression and what's meaningful to us. So it's almost like a journey away from anything organized and something that is very personal. And I know that many people have that yearning, and yet they don't know how to dive into that world. And so we're going to be talking a lot about that. Because freedom is such I'm going to use this word, it's a juicy part of our life experience. I know that when I think of the word freedom, it delights my heart because I love to know that there are infinite possibilities for me, that I create my life, and that the universe always says yes to me. And part of that is knowing who we are spiritually as these beings that are beyond this human construct, that have the ability to see beyond the world of appearances and create a life that is boundless, that resonates with the heart, that brings forth our every desire. And so it's giving ourselves that freedom to be able to find that part of us, connect with it, identify it, and make that be who we are in this world, rather than feeling like we're hiding it or we're not connected to it at all. I love this quote from Rajneesh, and I know he's controversial, but I had to bring this quote in. He says, "True freedom is always spiritual. It has something to do with our innermost being, which cannot be chained, handcuffed for us." So this idea of letting ourselves out of this cage of dogma, or thinking our spirituality is bound by an intermediary or by a certain religion, it's a time for those of us who want to not be spiritually stifled, to let ourselves roam free in who we are and to find how we can express that in our everyday life. And that's what it's all about. And it really is our authentic nature. So spirituality absolutely can exist without religion or with religion. I know that for us to find the benefits of our spiritual freedom, it really is something to be experienced. And from what I have found to be the benefits, I can connect with myself at a deeper level with my spirituality when I have that freedom. It's on my terms, not with anybody else's terms. I create the terms of my relationship with my spirituality. We can create a great life for ourselves. We can have massive expansion and growth potential. It's huge because we're connecting with a power that we know personally, that gives us the ability to create whatever we want to create and live whatever we want to live, knowing that there aren't rules that we have to follow to be what we want to be in this world. And we have peace of mind. When we have peace of mind, that's really everything. And we get to be free in who we are. How cool is that? We get to be free in who we are. And like I said, it's all finding out who that authentic you is and finding that and giving it a voice inside of you and in your life experience. And there are many ways that we can get spiritual freedom. And I know my friends are going to be talking a lot about that. Just a few that I found really helpful for me is I like to read. I like to read about free thinkers. I like to read Emerson, Science of Mind. There's many people that are contemporaries right now that speak to this. We've got Dispenza. We've got Wayne Dyer. They all talk about that freedom of the soul to be what it is and to give it that life so that we can be everything that we want to be and feel good about ourselves, not feel judgmental, not feel like if you don't follow these rules, you're going to a dark place. It's really liberating ourselves to think for ourselves, to be the independent thinker, to let God be God to us in our own special way, and to see the richness of life that comes forth from that. So other things that help are meditating, joining a new thought center like CSL or anything that teaches this type of philosophy that's based on the freedom of the soul to be whatever it wants to be. And engaging in spiritual practices, anything that reinforces that inner connection is going to empower you to be spiritually free. So there's a lot that goes into this this change of life. Should you be in a place where you really want to loosen up the grip of any kind of dogma in your life, to give yourself an opportunity to explore what is your spirituality beyond the confines of religion. I mean, the path is right there for you, and we all live that life. All of us here at CSL live that life, and my friends here live that life. And I will tell you, it's a glorious life when we break the chains of old thinking that put God in a place of superiority, of judgment, of harshness. When we start to see spirit in a different way, in a loving way, in a kind way, in a way that is more of an energy that expresses by means of us, when we bring forth that belief system and give it power and contemplate it and let it become our mindset, great things happen in life. And I believe, for myself at least, it only deepens my spirituality. So given that introduction, I am going to toss this ball into the group here. And it looks like Reverend Gail is going to go next, or is it Reverend Cheryl? I'm not sure. So ladies, it's up to you.
Hey, I can jump in. Thank you, Reverend Dale, for that great introduction. So as Reverend Dale said, our topic today is spiritual freedom, what it is, and how to get it. So the concept of spiritual freedom reminds me of a great book that I read several years ago by Dr. Michael Bernard Beckwith. And it was called Spiritual Liberation. And it teaches that it's our inner spiritual work, not necessarily religiosity or dogma, that liberates us, our inner spiritual work. And in expanding upon this theme, he drew on a wide spectrum of ancient wisdom teachers, just like Dale was talking about. He drew from Jesus the Christ, Gautama the Buddha, contemporary spiritual luminaries, people like Thich Nhat Hanh and the Dalai Lama, and even Western contributors to the New Thought tradition of spirituality. Some of the names you'd be familiar with would be maybe Emanuel Swedenborg and maybe Dr. Howard Thurman. And they created a profound new belief synthesis, this new thought. So these were some of my practical day-to-day takeaways or benefits from practicing spiritual freedom. So for me, first, spiritual freedom, and as I also like to call it, spiritual liberation, means for me being in a place where no matter what life may bring, I am free to draw from that unseen power within to deal with any challenges or any loss. And for me, that is really big. And spiritual freedom is also the capacity that I have to focus on what I want instead of focusing on what I don't want. And that's not only for the good of myself, but it's really for the good of all. And then spiritual freedom is a place or maybe a space of existence that's in complete alignment with spirit. Nothing is missing. Everything is complete. So what I learned from this experience is that life, as we embody spiritual freedom, continues to be what it is, but we relate to it as if it's from a different realm, where all that's needed is consistently available for our use. So depending upon what tradition you're drawing from, some call it oneness, some call it nirvana, some call it bliss. There's many more terms. And I'm not saying that there's no challenges or problems. I'm not saying that at all. We all experience those. But once we are spiritually liberated, we're able to approach these experiences, these challenges, from a different starting point, really from a different perspective, from a completely different point of view. And for me, that has made the difference. So, Reverend Cheryl, I think you were going to jump in after me.
Yes. Going back to the thoughts of this teaching, spirituality, we start with the New Thought movement, but it's very old, ancient teachings that were brought forth. I just say rediscovered old thought is what New Thought is. And even all of this thought has been around since the Upanishads and since the Vedas. And when you look at like Troward, when he wrote, what he did was he kind of translated and brought it into the newer language, into a newer way of thinking about it. But it's still, that's what's so amazing about this thought about spirituality versus religion, is that spirituality, there is in some shape or form in every past generation, in every past existence, there's been people that have been aware of the fact that there is more to this life than just us. They have been aware of the fact that there is a energy, or there's something that's moving, and it's spoken of, throughout ancient history, it's spoken of. And so religion, it was, to me, religion was a way of more to control the masses. If you did this and you acted this way and you did that, then you would go to heaven. But what spirituality did for me, and I grew up in a church that was very big on the thou shalt nots, but what this broke open for me was the fact that I don't have to give up every belief that I have. I just enhance it with this spiritual truth that I now know, that I see God and see spirit as everything. Everything is God everywhere. Everything I touch, everything I see, everything I taste is all God. And when you start thinking of it in that concept, it lets all of those old past, like Dale was saying, Reverend Dale, was that it just breaks those chains that hold you down and liberates you to just come forth and be who you are. I mean, even Jesus in the Bible, and he was a New Thought teacher in his age. In his day, his was totally New Thought. So if you look at it from that point of view, what he said was that all of these rules that we had before, thou shalt nots and everything, you can forget all about those. All you have to do is love God above everything else, and to love thy neighbor as you love yourself. And you think about that, that just about covers everything. If you're whatever you're putting out as love, you can expect to receive it back, first of all, but it just keeps you, if you stay in that place of clearness and clarity about everyone and everything is all connected. And when you're putting out love, all you're doing is just enhancing all of this connection. You're just adding to the universal power. You're expressing God in every moment. And so just to let go of that and have that spiritual freedom to just know that whatever is going on around you has come from something within you, and that's what you're attracting to you. It just gives you this freedom, so that when you do walk through things that you're like, where did that come from? That you realize that it's just part of your spiritual growth. It's not that you're going to be knocked to your knees for being this or being that or anything like that. It's more a case of just being who you are and showing up authentically always in your life. And so now I believe the next one, it's going to be Reverend Brad or Reverend William. Reverend William. Sorry, Reverend William.
That's quite all right. I tell you what, these three ladies, they are a hard act to follow. They hit the nail on the head, most definitely. Now, if anybody knows me, I love to use analogies. I like to talk about a different concept, a different idea on a very abstract, sometimes abstract idea. And so today I'm going to do that. Reverend Cheryl brought up a little bit about cooking, so that it clicked with me. As I became into this philosophy, it was called a religion, or it was referred to as a religion. But as I became a reverend, I really came to the idea that, like the founders of this philosophy, that it's a way of thought. It's not a religion to say this is it. This is the only way to think. This is an enhancement of whatever your base value is. If you are Christian or Catholic or Jewish or Muslim or whatever, or what was that one, that zoodiology something way back? It doesn't matter what your founding faith is. The thing I love about this, and this is a great topic, and thank you, Reverend Dale, spiritual freedom. Our philosophy, our way of thinking is to enhance what you already have grown up with. If that philosophy, if that religion works for you, this isn't something to where we're saying, hey, you need to turn away from your beliefs and believe what we are saying. For me, the way I understand it, we are the enhancement of what you already have. Now, talking about cooking, that's what it is. Every culture has their way of cooking. That's kind of like what religion is. How they base their faith and how they do express their faith is like cultural cooking. But what happens is now, these new chefs that you see, all these TV shows, they're incorporating what was normally traditional items to cook from and traditional spices for their region and incorporating it with a totally different region to create new flavors. And so that's what I want to talk to you about today is our philosophy. This new thought is the enhancement of what you already may have as a faith. Now, if you're like me to where I walked away from organized religion when I was young because it just didn't resonate with me and I found this, that's quite all right. But I can tell you this, as I became a reverend in this philosophy, I have a new respect for organized religion. And I love to look at Christianity, Muslim, Judaism, all of that. And I love to find the beauty of the basis of that particular faith because it really is at the core based on love. And that's what we are talking about here. So spiritual freedom for me is just to help you open up your eyes, open up your mind, go beyond the basics of what your faith is. Showing up on Saturday or showing up on Sunday, or the Muslims do it at sundown. Go beyond just what the representation of your particular faith is and incorporate that throughout the day, 24 hours a day, because truly we are nothing less than spirit in action. Our faith, our philosophy honors all religions, and that's a fact. We see the beauty in all. There is not one way to express your spirituality. We are just here to help you find your expression of your faith. So that is what I love about this, is that we are here to teach you the freedom and the responsibility of your own faith. Please incorporate our philosophies. There is one life, there is one power. That life is God's life, and that life is my life right now. That is an absolute fact. And that's what I love about this faith. And that's what I love about all life, is I see the common thread throughout all religions. And that is to allow the individual to feel more connected to everyone else around them. Now, I know that this is unfolding perfectly. We may not see exactly what you or I may think the world needs to be and see and act, but I do know this. Every single second of every single day, life is unfolding perfectly. I may not be able to see it. Like Dr. Joe was saying in his talk the other day about having one of those oriental rugs with all the colors and everything like that. And if you're a bug or something like that crawling on it, you can only see the one color that you're on top of that second. Our philosophy is teaching you to be that butterfly. Raise yourself up from the common thought so that you can see a broader picture, and then you can see the multiple colors of that rug and see that every single color represented as different religions create the tapestry of the one life, which is spirit, which is God, which is the universe, and it is expressed as love. So I love the idea of talking about spiritual freedom, and thank you, Reverend Dale, for opening up this can of worms, because you know what? It's a lot easier to go fishing when you got a can of worms. I'm telling you what. After that, let's see here. Who's next? Is Bradley going, sir? Oh, Reverend Dale. Thank you, Reverend Dale.
Thank you. You know, I shared a little bit of a story at the top of my share this morning about how I was needing something else to fill my spirit besides organized religion. And I didn't even realize at that time that I was looking for spiritual freedom. And I know a lot of people who are attracted to our center, they have this feeling of there's got to be more to life than this, or this wasn't working for me. I'm looking for something to fill up those empty spaces of my spirit. And I know many of us don't even know what that looks like. We just get this like feeling state, this knowing that there's something missing here. There's something missing here. And I think the more I studied our philosophy and learned about new thought, and I love, you know, I love the word or the concept new thought. You know, we've got, I was so filled with all these old thoughts of what God was and what religion is and how sacrilegious it is to even dispute it or to turn away from it. I mean, there was a time in my life where I feared letting go of that because I thought, you know, lightning was going to strike me. And I think the cool thing about being an explorer of spiritual freedom and letting ourselves wander and discover and taste different religions and different philosophies and take what's meaningful for us. And I love that everybody brought in these ideas that and the wisdom that this what we teach, this philosophy is based on ancient philosophy, like Reverend Cheryl and Reverend Gail brought to the table. I mean, all of this is wisdom that's within us, that's been around, and it's so good to come back to it because we can weave these threads. As taking William's analogy, we can weave a new rug of our spiritual truth based on all these wonderful threads of old philosophies and new philosophies, and bring something into form, and like Aladdin, and we can have a flying carpet that takes us to all of these wonderful new realities once we've got that freedom of our spirituality to be able to take us to wherever we want to take. And, you know, it really is it's sort of a solo thing because it's personal to us. I know that even though we all share this philosophy of science of mind, that we all live it differently. It means something different to all of us. I know that I have a little sprinkle of Buddhism and this and that, whereas other people might have more a Christian grounding with science of mind. So it's so lovely to have freedom. That's kind of where I just want to land with all of this. It's so lovely that we have freedom to be and worship in whatever way we want to be. And there is no right or wrong. It's what's meaningful to the heart. And I really love, Reverend William, that you brought the heart in, because it kind of ties into what we were speaking to with their introductory question, that really it is all about freedom of the heart to be what it is, to feel and know that sense of a higher presence, a higher reality, and to be able to live our life unencumbered by rules and regulations about our spirituality and what's meaningful to us. Reverend Bradley, you are up, my friend.
I feel free. So, of all the amazing wisdom we've heard here this morning, do we move into that space for our sense of freedom? And I do, and I love it. And a lot of times for me, I feel so peaceful, and in that deeper sense of peace with regards to whatever is in my life, right within that and around that, inside that, is that experience of freedom. So you've heard the wisdom of my colleagues of ways to access it and what it is and ideas on it. And I still support us all in doing whatever we need to do to feel free. And if it's this book or this length of meditation or this vocation or this partnership, do that so you can experience a sense of freedom. Because if more of us were, I think I'm talking slowly because I want to really be focused for myself. If more of us were doing whatever it took for us to feel, and I know you hear this from me all the friggin' time, whatever it takes to feel, then that has to show up in my life, because the law of mind can't do anything but take all that's within me and put it in my life. And the more I feel the sense of peace, the sense of awe, and that sense of freedom, that spiritually free expression, feeling of freedom, that same thing is going to show up in my life, and I don't even have to think about it. I don't have to figure out what it's going to be. I don't have to, it's just done deal, because the law of mind will take that energy, vibration, depth of consciousness, and create it. So you had at least, I know, more than one tool today to learn, that grasp, I need a lot of worms in my toolbox. I'm going to have a lot of worms, because then when I go fishing in life, I can access whatever's in front of me, because I have all my favorite worms, Joey and Mary and Josh, and they can all support me and do it. Oh my God, and do whatever I want to in this life. So I think Reverend Cheryl's got some additional wisdom for us.
If I can stop laughing long enough, and you and your worms, but yes. But anyway, just to kind of tie this up together, one of the things that everyone has mentioned or touched on this is about, what we believed before and what we believe now. And it's kind of just to tie it all up, is that what we believe as this at our center is that we are all coming from a different background, all coming from different faiths, all coming from different religions, and all having a different idea. And so to bring it all together is to say that we recognize and appreciate and love everyone for their beliefs, because whatever it is, whatever it brings, whatever you need to bring you to that place where you feel that power and that knowing that you are a beloved child of God, that you are here to express God in every moment and in every way. When you get to that point, then all of that stuff does fall away, but it doesn't have to. One of the things that Joe said to me one time, or said in one of his talks, was that it's like a mountain, and at the top is spirit. And there's a lot of different paths to get to the top of the mountain, but some of them are easier and some of them are more difficult. But whatever it takes within you to reach that point is what we are talking about right now, today. If it means letting go of some of the things that you have been taught in the past, whether it through religion or through other methods, whether it be in a school or the way your parents thought or whatever, spiritual freedom is just letting go and expressing God just for you, just as you are showing up as God, and just as you're showing up as this human expression, and how you are living your life. And I like to call, when things occur in my life, like bad situations, what other people would call, I like to call them adventures, because then I'm on a new adventure, and I know that at the end of this, there's something good that's going to come from it, whether it doesn't look that way at this moment or my perception, but I know it's adding to my spiritual growth. And I think that that's what the spiritual freedom really is all about, is about your spiritual growth, to become the person that you should be, and to express as you should in every moment of your life. And so I believe now that I'm going to give it over to, oh goodness, who's next?
I can.
All right, Gail, thank you. There was so much chatter going on there, I couldn't see. Yeah. All right, go Reverend Gail.
So I think for me that spiritual freedom reminds me a lot about hiking in the mountains. We've shared a lot of these comparisons today. And that really strikes me as kind of our latest mountain hikes. So my husband and I love to go hiking in the mountains. And as we're hiking up the tall slopes, every time we turn a corner on the mountain, we see that the true peak of the mountain and even more of its majestic beauty is way beyond where we are. We think around every corner we're there, but it's always beyond where we are. Well, this experience in our trip up the mountain feels a lot like spiritual freedom, which for me is just another term for embodying love. So just like when I climb a mountain, just when I think I'm overflowing with good things, beauty, and blessings, I simply look up and there is so much more yet to come. More good, more truth, more blessings, more love. So the truth is, for me, I don't feel like I become spiritually free, and I don't feel like it's a skill that I maintain. I don't really think of spiritual freedom as a concept, because what we already are is spiritual freedom. Spiritual freedom for me is that which is simply revealed. We are and always will be pure beingness, which can't be defined in my mind by any concept. And the truth about spiritual freedom for me is that the true meaning of liberation can only be experienced. It can be experienced and felt and lived, not just thought about or talked about. So that's kind of my closing thoughts. Does anybody else have a closing thought they'd like to share?
Thanks, Reverend Gail. I love that that picture in our mind of getting to the top of the trail. And if you've hiked that, I could really feel that for myself of the number of times where we're walking up and they're steep or not steep, and we think we're getting near the top, and we come around a little corner and we go, oh my God, look at the beauty that's still before us. Some of it may be above us physically, but it's still way more than what we've already traveled past. So I love that reminder. And she also said that it's already within us. So I have the personal experience of a memory that is similar to that, where I got that feeling within me. But right now, I'm sitting in my office and I'm not on the mountain. How is it that I can hear her share that story and I can feel it? And then I can pull my other memory out and I can feel it. I think that's an easy, graspable description of how that which we desire is already within us. Sure, I have a memory of that already, but even if you didn't have a memory of that, you could feel the joy when you saw Reverend Gail's face light up and share when she comes around it, and you could picture that in your mind, and you have maybe only seen a picture of the other side of the mountain, but you could feel that. All that happened is that that infiniteness that is already within you and has always been in you shows up there and then. And you can say, oh, well, if I could access it as easily as that, I can access it all the time, regardless of what it is. So we're concluding our time and wrapping up this awesome show today. Does any of my beautiful, wise colleagues want to share a little more? Reverend Dale?
Well, since you're calling on me, I guess I want to emphasize what Reverend Gail said, because it is about experiencing it. It isn't a head thing. It is a heart thing. It's a life thing. It's a feeling state. And what I've just, for those of you that might call yourself spiritual seekers, and something that I've just come to realize within my own journey and those journeys I've observed in others is, our mind becomes aware of something the heart is trying to communicate to us, which is, and I kind of talked about this, I need something more. And the mind is trying to search for what is that more? Let me help you find that more. And then we find these new thoughts. We find these things that unlock this spiritual freedom. And then the mind needs to let go and let the heart just experience that which is already. I love that you said that, Reverend Gill. It is already there, and it's knocking on the door to be experienced and lived into. So I just want to leave that, because I think that is the final thought, because it is experiencing life free, in a free way that's spiritually free. So thank you. I'm done.
Awesome, great. And I saw Reverend Dale, I saw a finger go up. So maybe she wasn't wanting to speak. She was just saying, Brad, you're number one. Brad, you're number one. So we'll just go with that. Yeah, I'm on a roll. So great. No other comments? Raise your hand. Well, thank you. Thank you very much for those of you who tuned in to watch us and enjoy us. If you're doing it some other day besides February 10th, we appreciate you, want to support you. Love you. We have some amazing other upcoming programs. Tomorrow, we have Dr. Laura interviewing a master of Tai Chi. So if you've ever wanted to discover more about that movement that can create more peace and balance and energy, just wherever you are, then I invite you to join that. We have all our regular awesome programs at 10 a.m. each day, every single day at 10 a.m. And I'd like to invite Reverend Gail to share a special class and program she's doing next Tuesday.
Thank you, Reverend Bradley. So next Tuesday on February 16th at 10 a.m., I'm going to be offering a workshop, and it's called Embracing the Soul's Journey. And this workshop offers a map of the soul's journey through death and through loss. And the materials I'm going to draw upon are the intersection of the science of mind teachings, as well as modern consciousness research from books that many of you are familiar with, like Proof of Heaven and The Journey of the Soul. So whether you support people who are experiencing loss or you yourself are experiencing loss, this workshop is going to guide you to understand where you are in the grieving process, either before or after death, and what you can expect during this healing journey. So Reverend Bradley, thank you for letting me share.
Thanks, Reverend Gail. It's going to be an amazing class and program. Reverend Cheryl?
Oh, I didn't hear you say my name. I just wanted to thank Annette for her thought, which she put up on the website. She says, new thought has validated my spiritual practice to unfold and flow from who I am to be. What a beautiful thought. So thank you, Annette.
Again, thank you everyone who's participated with us. Do want to remind you about the Beyond Limits class. That's our basics class of Science of Mind, and you can still sign up for that. This coming Monday night is the last night that you can participate in class and join the class. You know, for being in this philosophy so long, the first thing I did when I moved to town to take care of my parents, I'd already observed Dr. Joe as being an amazing, inspiring teacher. I took his Beyond Limits class. Didn't assist in it, didn't do anything. I just sat in and observed it and took it in because, one, besides his amazing teaching style and energy he brings, but also it's just the basics. And I can never get enough of that. I have participated in a basics class every 18 to 20 months. I will be in a basics class after decades of being in this philosophy because it's so clear and rich and brings me back to the simplicity of this teaching that I can use in my life. So it's Beyond Limits with the amazing Reverend Charles. And if you've seen him already this past year, his energy and love and wisdom he brings to every class is just so dynamic. It will take you and support you in beyond your current limits. So that's Mondays from 6 to 8:30. You can still sign up. Go to the website or call the office. Website again is cslpalmdesert.org. So we're going to close our program today with a prayer. Want to remind you and thank you that if you'd like to support this program and this community and support yourself and saying, I'm so grateful for what I get from here, I'm going to not just say thanks, I'm going to contribute my financial good to this organization. There will be a link on this page that you can click there and easily do it through your credit card or PayPal. So as we close our time, I invite you to close your eyes and take a deep, full, slow breath and just feel the infinite gratitude for the fullness of this time together as it resonates within our bodies and our cells and our minds of that perfect expression of God's infinite spiritual freedom, right where I am, right where we are, and right where you are. That fullness of that truth that I just spoke is always present, ever available, and continuing to unfold effortlessly, gracefully in my life, in this life, in our life. For this truth and so much more, I give grateful, grateful thanks. And so we let it be, and so it is. Namaste. Thank you for joining us.